Hello and welcome to another This Week in Transition broadcast here at my father's in Marietta for today's broadcast down here in the Atlanta area. As I mentioned last week, doing some different projects, specifically working on a deck that kind of refinishing, repainting, getting some things looking good, looking new on that in order to plug in some fresh resources and get some momentum going for projects up in Tennessee and different things going on with GermiNation. So I'll be sharing a little bit more about that after the exciting brew shop that we have going on today. Pretty awesome. Since I'm here with my father this week, get to have him on the show, which is pretty exciting. Really neat. He brews his own kombucha and has been doing it for a little while. And while he was, getting ready to do that again this week, we figured it would be an awesome opportunity. While there's not been too much going on in Tennessee or much to show you guys in that regard, really cool to have something like this activity and this kombucha workshop going on today. So I'm actually drinking some of his kombucha here, which is really, really awesome. A lot of times these healthier things, organic food, or things that are really good for you are sometimes some of the higher cost items, especially here in the US. So it's really cool to have workshops and articles and different how-tos like we're going to show today on how to kind of cut some of those expenses and still get the health benefits that these things, these living foods or these really healthy foods provide. So just a little bit before we jump into that, I personally have been feeling amazing drinking, being able to drink kombucha on more of a regular basis here. I haven't started brewing my own batch up in Tennessee yet, but I'll probably take one of the scobies from this batch up with me, which I'm pretty stoked about as well. But just really awesome to feel energized. Can really feel, especially after a couple days, feel the effects of this awesome drink on the digestive system, giving a little bit of energy. And kombucha is a fermented drink where you're fermenting the beverage and creating a culture. And this is a probiotic culture, so it's good bacteria that helps with your digestion. It actually helps detox your body as well. Different properties in the kombucha also are known for weight loss and a lot of different other things as well. I posted a picture and an article in the comment box, posting and promoting a little bit, letting people know about this stream today. So I encourage any of you as well, if you know any more about kombucha, if you're a kombucha brewer or an expert, or you just like to research things, I highly encourage you to drop some of those articles, some of your own workshops, some of your own resources and guides on this kombucha beverage in the comments, and share this stuff with others. Like I said, it's just so useful and so helpful to have these types of things so that we can get more awareness, and not only more awareness, but just have healthier people thriving with these living foods. So again, thank you so much, Jose. So grateful, my father, on the show. We'll jump into the kombucha brew shop. Here we go.
Well, we're going to be making some kombucha, and one of the biggest, most important things is we got to make sure that we keep the SCOBY safe, and we'll get to what the SCOBY is, but I like to put a little bit of vinegar on a plate where the SCOBY is going to be resting. That way the SCOBY will be safe while we're creating an environment to make the next batch of kombucha. There's some cloth that I use to cover the container that has been brewing the kombucha for the last 2 weeks. That way we don't get any dirt or any insects in there. Bugs love to flock to the kombucha when it's fermented. I like to also clean my hands with vinegar, since I'm going to be touching the kombucha. on a regular basis. So when I touch the SCOBY, it feels much better to treat it nicely with hands that are not containing any kind of detergent from washing my hands with dish detergent, dish liquid. We place the kombucha over here. This is a very healthy kombucha. You can see that on both sides it has a very good color. There would be a little bit of slime, but that's exactly what we want. And that is our SCOBY laying right there. I call it the kombucha, but it's really the SCOBY. And then this was the original SCOBY that I had placed in there. So now we have the baby SCOBY, and then we have the original that I had placed in there when I first began this batch. Regularly, what I like to do is I like to either give away the mother SCOBY and keep the baby, since that's the youngest and freshest one, or many times I will just throw away the mother and keep the baby. This is a SCOBY that I've had now for probably 4 years. My son Colin actually gave me a small SCOBY, and this is now almost 4 years later still the same SCOBY, of course many generations later. And that is the kombucha that I'm brewing, that we have been brewing, and the one that I'm going to flavor and bottle today. Well, part of making kombucha is making the tea where the kombucha will live. The SCOBY feeds on the tea. The preference is to use black tea. I get organic black tea, much better than just getting some of the cheaper teas. Earl Grey or some of the other black teas are not good for kombucha. The SCOBY would not do well, so just a plain black tea would be the perfect tea to feed the SCOBY. Typically, I'm going to be making 2 gallons of kombucha this time. That's what I want to brew for this next couple of weeks. So for 1 gallon of water or kombucha, we want to do about 8 tea bags. I got 2 here together, but we want to do 8 tea bags. I've been boiling this water already. The water is very hot, and I have about 1/3 of the water that is boiling right now. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to do the entire process all at one time. I'm going to be adding cold water to this because we don't want to put the SCOBY in hot water. We would kill the SCOBY if we did that. So I'm just boiling 1/3 of the water. I put the tea bags in there, and once the tea sits there for a while, I'm going to be bottling my previous batch of kombucha, and so I will let the tea bag sit here for a long period of time while I'm doing the bottling, which probably would be about 20-25 minutes. It doesn't really matter. We'll leave the tea bags in here, and then whenever I'm ready to do it, I'll take the tea bags out, put the rest of the water in, cooler water, so it would be room temperature when I put the cool water in there, and then I can put this into the container with the SCOBY so we can brew kombucha for the next couple of weeks. I'm getting ready to flavor the kombucha. This kombucha has been brewing for 2 weeks and is ready to be drunk. It's very good actually, but we prefer to give it some flavor. So the first thing that I do is I strain it before I put it into a smaller container where I'm going to be able to put the flavor in it. I use glass or I use wood whenever I'm working with the kombucha. I don't like to use metal or plastic containers or utensils, but this strainer is a plastic strainer. Just works very well for what I'm doing, but that's about the only contact that we have with plastic. The rest of all the utensils will be glass or will be wood. Previously, prior to doing all of this, I cleansed everything also with some vinegar, just to make sure that it was nice and clean. Once I do that, then I usually select some kind of flavor. In this particular case, I'm going to use grapes or Concords. This is an organic juice, 100% grapes or 100% Concord, And for 1 gallon of kombucha, we typically will do about 1 cup of juice or a little bit more. In this case, I'm going to do 1.5 cups, and that would be enough flavoring. Some people like less flavor, some people like more, but this is now ready and it can be bottled. I just take it from here and put it in bottles, which I have saved from previous times when I have bought kombucha at the store. I just save the bottles and store them in there. We need to store them in glass containers. But this is ready to be drunk, and I'm looking forward to having a great time enjoying my new batch of kombucha. Now it's the process of putting the flavored kombucha in bottles. Just a simple funnel will do, and then we just want to make sure that we fill it very close to the top. After we bottle them, we put the cap on them and we let it sit around for about 3 days out of the refrigerator, and 3 days later we need to put it in the refrigerator. If we don't put it in the refrigerator, a new SCOBY will start to grow inside each one of these bottles, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to drink it with a SCOBY in it. So the best thing to do is just to bottle it close to the top and then seal it with a tight seal. And these bottles work perfect for that. And once it's tight, we'll just let them sit for 3 days before we put it in the refrigerator. Now we're just taking all the tea bags out of the pot. They've been sitting here for about 20-25 minutes while I was doing the rest of the bottling of the kombucha that I just finished preparing. And so here we have the tea is warm water, is still very warm. We don't want to put the SCOBY in here or put this on the SCOBY because it will kill it. This temperature is too high. But the other thing that the SCOBY will feed on is sugar. I like to use organic sugar, pure raw cane sugar. You don't want to use brown sugar or light brown sugar. Just use regular sugar, but I prefer to use organic raw sugar. And 1 cup of sugar for 1 gallon of kombucha. In this case, I'm making 2 gallons, so I will do 2 cups of sugar. And people who worry that this is too much sugar, just keep in mind the SCOBY will eat most of the sugar, if not all of it. The 2 elements that will be feeding the SCOBY is the black tea and the sugar. So for those of you concerned with calories, there is no worries. The SCOBY will eat all the calories for you. And we'll stir this and then mix it with the SCOBY. We'll just finish pouring the new batch of black tea into the container. I'm making 2 gallons of kombucha this time. That's what I'm going to be brewing. And then usually I will put a cup or 2 of the old kombucha, the one that I just finished brewing for the last couple of weeks. This time, because I drank or bottled all the kombucha, I'm going to use vinegar. So we either need to have the old kombucha as a starter, or we need to use just plain vinegar, 1 cup or 3/4 of a cup, someplace between 3/4 and a cup per gallon. So we put the vinegar in there, and then we take our SCOBY and we gently pick it up, and I'm using the baby SCOBY, and I'm placing the baby SCOBY in here. It's okay if it actually dips in there. It may go all the way to the bottom. Eventually it will float to the surface, and the new baby SCOBY will be the one at the very top. The mother SCOBY will be the one below. But right now it will stay up here depending on the temperature and depending on the size of the SCOBY. It may sink or it may stay floating close to the surface. But now for the best part of this is I get to enjoy some of my kombucha that I just finished brewing. Delicious.
Yeah, awesome. again, so grateful to be able to have that video. So grateful to my pops for his willingness to be on the broadcast this week, share a little bit of that useful information, that wealth of wellness. But yeah, just awesome to share some of those things. Again, if any of you watching have any other tips or your own brew methods, or any other articles or information, please feel free to share in the comment box here. Reactions, any opinions or input, also welcome. And so yeah, just again, like I was sharing a little bit before, just really nice to have things like this to share, as I'm not in Tennessee right now, but I have been working on some things here, working on the website a little bit, getting things ready for July, which is a pretty exciting and packed month for GermiNation and things in Tennessee, so I'll be sharing about that in the coming weeks. And also wanted to share that because of the jobs that I've been doing this week and some of the things that have come together, this is the first month that GermiNation has reached our $1,000 financial goal. So celebrating that, and really excited to share that news with you guys today. And before we jump off, I want to give a shout out to Dave Winkler. Thank you so much, Dave. Thanks to you, we were able to do these live broadcasts and have some of the editing, video editing, and some of that capacity. So just wanted to share gratitude. Thank you to all of you who are watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Blessings.